Finally, some peace and quiet in this little picturesque city. We received a few days for repair and refitting. That's duly necessary for man and especially material. The city with its 50,000 inhabitants is still full of life, even if we appear as occupiers. The people aren't disposed with any hostility toward us. Now that the supply train has arrived and the city in its entirety is under our control, it is possible to move about freely. A large warehouse store just outside the city had still been blown up by the retreating Russians. But the second store had managed to be taken over intact. It's a giant cold storage with provisions for an entire division. Tons of sturgeon discovered, and I believe with this the supply situation of the regiment will improve substantially. There's also a big memorial service. Our fallen comrades of the last assault are being laid to rest with military honors in a beautiful field cemetery. We pack up the decorations and personal belongings of Master Sergeant Hund. The Master Sergeant did not wear any decorations on his tanker jacket, since he thought he'd always get snagged with them on the turret. Inside his small wooden box, I then discover underneath the Iron Cross First Class also the badge of the Legion. So he was a tank man of the first hour. Then I discover a letter from his wife. Unfortunately, I didn't have the opportunity to talk to him more about personal matters. But the comrades tell me that he'd been married for a while and also had been with the regiment for a long time. The platoon leader is going to write the letter to his family. I'm so relieved that I don't have to do this. We are assigned a tank gunner who will ride with us until we receive a new commander. But for now, it's not going any further. We are enjoying the quiet in this town and are using our off-duty time for a few excursions into the outlying area. We organize a field car from the repair unit, and 3 of us are driving into the direction of Kislovdosk. Here near the Caucasus, it looks really quite western. There are well cared for houses, mansions, and convalescent homes for the upper class of the Russians. Nevertheless, we always travel with caution, since we don't know where scattered Russian soldiers might still be present. When we arrive in the town, it does appear as if really no German soldiers have come here. We park the car and walk through the streets. People here look at us with wide eyes but leave us alone. A few Russian officers, who are also very well fed indeed, pass us and nod to us in friendly manner. Well, something can't be right here. Hermann knows a little Russian, and after a short while we encounter another 3 Russians who are strolling through the streets. We stop the group, also of course showing our machine pistols which we are carrying, and very politely we receive the information that here is a large convalescent home for officers of the Russian army. This means the city is still completely in Russian hands. They don't even realize how far we'd already pushed forward. Gradually, this doesn't appear so safe to me anymore. It doesn't take long until we spot a truck with the 10 Russians in the bed of the truck. They are heavily armed and friendly. They don't appear either. Now we have to make ourselves scarce in a hurry. We try to get to our car as fast as possible and are running like hares through the streets of the city. Finally, we found our car and jump in. The starter holds, Hermann floors the gas pedal. It's not a second too soon, since the Russian truck is already racing around the bend. The first shot are fired toward us. Just out of this mousetrap, I sit in the back and have the machine pistol at the ready. The car skids back and forth. I can't take aim, but the Russians are also not hitting anything. Some bullets are impacting next to us into the walls of houses and are slamming into the streets. If they now manage to hit our tires, well then, good night, Marie. On goes the chase through a turn and again around a corner. The Russians won't let go. We're actually supposed to be heading northeast in order to get on the road to Pyatigorsk. I scream at Hermann that he's going in the wrong direction. He screams back that we have to get out of here first. Zigzagging, it continues, and we are gradually getting into the suburbs of the city. Now we have to somehow fight our way back to our troops. The distance increases. I'm thinking we can make it, but I'm far off. After a few kilometers, we spot a road blocked by the Russians who, however, probably aren't expecting us. So full throttle and through. We swerve around the vehicles on the road, and while driving by, I send a few greetings in the direction of the guards. Those are hitting the dirt. I think they crapped their pants. Eugen tries to coordinate with Hermann where we are right now and where we need to go. According to the sun, we should slowly head east. We find a road and the compass shows we are on the right track. Still going at a fast clip, we see 5 trucks sitting a little off the road in a field and some Russians running around. We are a good 200 meters away. I tap Hermann's shoulder to let off the throttle and not kick up so much dust. I grab my binoculars and take a look at the Russians. Wild-looking trucks. It looks like they have rails mounted on the back that are angled at 45 degrees. The Russians are stacking long pipes on them right now. I can't fathom what that's supposed to be. We stop and wait. Since we are no longer being chased, and the Russians in the field apparently haven't noticed us yet, we stay in cover and wait. Eugen remarks we could, in a quick maneuver, drive around a pasture close to 50 meters away. I'd rather still wait. Now the Russians appear to be all done with the pipes and are taking cover. Just as Hermann remarks that those must be rocket launcher, all hell breaks loose on Earth. They really are rockets, giant rockets, which are blasting into the sky off the rails, one after another. A defying noise this is, and if the gods were screaming at each other. My goodness, what a spectacle. I try to follow the rockets which are flying due east, but they quickly go out of sight. That's incredible. We have to report this. The Russians have created a real mess here. There are stories about these, but I've never seen this until now. Off we go. Shift in gear and on at full speed. Closer and closer we get to the field. Apparently, the Russians aren't considering us enemies. Then they smell a rat. The first one reaches for his rifle. Now it's time. Eugen and I rip through the trigger of the machine pistols. We create a ruckus that the walls are shaking. The Russians are throwing themselves down. We just keep speeding on in the direction of our lines. No shots ring out anymore, and we chuckle over our stunt to have gotten through unscathed. After about 5 kilometers, we see a completely destroyed suburb of Pyatigorsk. Here, these things from hell must have struck. They do really create a giant mess. I've never experienced these things, but they apparently have been around the front since mid-41. It doesn't matter, on we go until we are back to our own people a little later. Immediately we give a report. A mid-sized combat detachment is sent to the city of Kislovdosk. We're not driving along. We first have to recover from the shock. The captured vodka might be able to help. In the evening, the mood is then again accordingly. But the next morning awaits us with a considerable headache. Even a cool bath in a small stream doesn't really help. The marching orders arrive. It's to go ahead the next morning. That means getting everything ready again, stow ammunition, and finish work on the tank. Now I really have to attend the situational conference, a substitute commander. I throw on my tanker jacket and pay attention that all my decorations are on their spot. That way, I proceed to the conference room, which is the office of the old police department. Here, on a situational map, the further advance is being discussed. I don't feel comfortable as a lowly corporal among all the sergeants and officers. But quickly, my insecurity is wiped away. The company commander briefly tells about our battle on the runway, and in addition of my report about the Russian rocket launches. Nods of approval in my direction, so I've been accepted. It's supposed to go on now in the direction of Grozny on the Caspian Sea. The oil is still the key in the vast land. How long will Ivan then be able to hang on? Without fuel, no tank can drive. We already know this ourselves. Departure is set for the next morning at 5 a.m. That will be quite a ride, since the Russian Air Force is becoming more active, and reconnaissance report also state that armored trains were here in the area. Well, all right. I inform my crew and still try to get a little sleep. I'm excited how it will be as a commander. How will the tank gunner do his job? Will he be able to do the job like me, or can he do it better? Will my decisions be right or not? I have the responsibility for my men. Also, the rest of the platoon will watch what I do. I'm just about to lie down when Sergeant Strauss stops by and sits down with me. As an old tank man, he gives me some valuable advice on what I should do and what to avoid in any case. To also listen to the crew was important. Sometimes they had a different perspective of things than oneself. Decisively, go at it. I should do, but not at full out risk. I'm glad an old hand is taking away my anxiety. It's not the fear of the enemy, it's the responsibility that weighs heavily. It will work out. Now still a little sleep, and then on it goes again.